In just a few weeks, one of the biggest soccer franchises in the world is coming to Toronto, and one of Manchester City's biggest fans wants to sit with fellow supporters. But because he needs a wheelchair to get around, he can't. Daniel Stone is also being asked to pay more for those accessible seats. Charles Agro joins us live now with more on the CBC News Toronto exclusive. Charles, what's the issue here?
Well, Dwight, here's the thing. Like so many soccer fans in our city, Daniel Stone saw an advertisement offering seats in that Man City section for as low as $60. He needs 3 seats, one for himself, his wife who supports him, and his son. But he learned that there's no accessible seating in that section, and in order to sit in an accessible seat, they cost as much as 3 times as much. And as you could imagine, he's fairly disappointed. Like so many from the UK, football is life for Daniel Stone. The die-hard Manchester City fan grew up watching his hometown team. Even after he moved to Canada, Stone would return at least once a year to take in a game.
It's a brilliant save from Johan.
These days, Stone watches from home. His trips across the pond postponed indefinitely after a brain injury made travel nearly impossible. His speech also suffered. A tablet helps him talk.
This is the first time that Manchester City have played in Toronto.
When Stone went to buy tickets to watch his favorite franchise in the designated supporters section, where some sell for $60, he couldn't. There's no accessible seating in that part of the stadium.
I would to pay more.
You'd have to pay more.
Yes.
The accessible seats he did find are 2 sections over and cost more than $100 each. Stone needs 3, one for himself, wife, and son.
The policy in England is that a companion gets in for free. In Toronto, a companion has to pay for a ticket. This is different from, say, the movies where a companion is free.
MLSE says its policy is to have companions pay for a seat to any event at all of its venues. It encourages anyone with accessibility needs to reach out to fan services. For Stone, the idea anyone with accessibility needs would be asked to pay more ever is simply unfair.
I do not feel that this has been handled well.
Now, after we reached out to MLSE, the company says it would very much like for Mr. Stone to contact him. MLSE says it plans to honor that $60 per ticket price for Mr. Stone and his family in the closest section to that Man City area where there is an accessible seat for him. Mr. Stone says he will purchase 3 tickets to that game. MLSE also says that 1% of all seats here at the newly renovated BMO Field are accessible, and that does fall within provincial standards. Reporting live from not far from BMO Field, I'm Charles Agro.
Great story. Thank you, Charles.